All right, here we are. Brandywine. Turn 1. The situation as it stands right now, historically, Washington has heard about a possible flank march and has taken it quite seriously. So, Greene is deployed up here, watching the northern road. This time Sullivan's down here. Washington commands are in the center. Maxwell's elite unit, it's elite because they're awesome shots, is here ready to respond. Here we have Kniphausen coming in. He's demonstrating. His object is to pin these guys down on the river so they can't come up and reinforce the flank. Here's Howe with Cornwallis coming in from the north, or northwest as it is, along the road. Now they're coming down in column, but they've switched out into line as they're expecting to reach combat soon. These guys are actually technically not on the map yet. So that's how it begins. First command is Kniphausen. They go up there. They stay back there because the artillery is here. Let's not get shot at. This artillery, however, steps forward to beg the question. Now, over here, you notice we have two fords. Now, Grant could theoretically cover up, kind of block both fords, and I want to do this because I want to show you how I choose to simulate this in combat. And he stations a detachment on the hill by Pyle's Ford here. That's what he does. Sullivan. Okay. What Sullivan does is he sends one unit. He's basically going to send one here and one here. Now, if you could actually break these up, I'd stick one here and one here, half of each. In the end, what ends up happening, what I do, is I place them like this. So it's a simple schematic representation of a more complicated battle. Cornwallis comes on. All right. Now, Greene hasn't moved yet. So I have to be very careful not to allow myself to get flanked. So Matthews is going to assault the hill. They don't respect the colonists. And this is all the farther that they can get, but they're protecting that flank. This is cavalry. Cavalry comes in, and the decision is, does the cavalry want to contact the colonial cavalry? You know what? They're going to go for it. They don't respect them. The rest of these units advance no further than here because they don't want to get in the way of these units retreating, if that happens. So they're on just like that. They'll stay about a third back. You notice I don't spend a lot of time measuring. I've done this a lot. Essentially, if you're not moving in clear terrain your entire turn, you're going to move 2/3. No matter if you're moving a little bit of terrain or terrain the whole time, it's 2/3. And I know how much 2/3 is. And I've measured this out before. I know this guy can get here, this guy can get this far. Most of the time, frequently, you're never moving a full 2/3. So you don't even though these are here and they're useful and they're necessary, you don't need to use them all the time. Now here I have a divider, which I'm going to set to 1/3 of a foot move. You frequently need to know 1/3. So here's 1/3, and whenever I need to move 1/3, or even, I can even use it to measure out 2/3 real quick. I love to use that. Washington is next. All right, he's on defense. He doesn't need to do anything. He's going to hold right here, and the only thing he could do is these guys, since they're moving after these guys, can back up. Now it could be simulating, these guys aren't going to move here and stop for no reason. They could be shooting at them, causing them problems, threatening them. These guys might just have gotten lost and got no further than this. But the result is there was no combat. They were not able to successfully come to combat. In green, all right, if I had instead backed this, supported Matthews and backed him up like that, now they could flank, get a huge bonus. But this guy stopped here. If Matthews has to retreat, he won't interfere, he won't push this guy back because there's plenty of room. He's got over half a base width to move back. Green is going to hold just, let's see, does he dare? No, he's going to hold right there. He could attack with both these units, this flanker, but there would be no advantage in that combat. They'd be at even odds. Whereas up here in the hills, he has an advantage. He's going to use every advantage he has. And remember, in this battle, the Americans are trying to run out the clock and live through the day. So at this point, he's holding. That's it. No more chits. We're moving to combat. Here you have Matthews. They're on a hill. They're in the woods. You don't count the advantage twice. They're in cover. In cover is -1 to the attacker. So he needs 5s or 6s. They get 4s, 5s, or 6s. 3, 3, and 5 for the Americans, so they do 1 hit. Matthews is elite, so he absorbs that 1 hit. No effect. Matthew rolled a 3, 2, and 2. They wouldn't hit even if they weren't at -1, but they're at -1, so nothing happens there. Second time around. This time, the British, Matthews, gets 2 wounds. The Americans only inflict 1. So Matthews flips up like that. The lead American, Bad Anthony Wayne and his boys, get pushed back a third. Right about there. This unit will advance forward. That is just a detachment. They're covering Mad Anthony as he floats, but you know what? They're not even going to step. They're just covering his retreat. You can say, push him back like that because they have to be a third back. Over here, this time the Americans are attacking along here. Now they're attacking across the river, so for the first turn attacking across the river, they're counted as flanked. They get -1, British get +1. Americans roll a 1, 1, and a 6, so the 6 hits. The British roll 3 4s. All of those 4s hit. So this first American is eliminated. Grant is spent. Lord Sterling with his New Jersey boys pushes on. Now they're no longer considered flanked for crossing the river, but Grant is on the hill here, so they're at -1. All right, we have Americans roll a 3, 5, and 6. That's 2 hits. That eliminates Grant. Grant rolled a 1, 4, and 6. That's 2 hits. That pushes back Sterling. And he's going to go back up on this hill. He's pushing back Armstrong's militia, who also becomes spent. Militia is so fragile. That's it. That ends turn 1. All right, let's begin turn 2. I've moved the camera a bit, so now you can see the rest of Howe coming on there, Cornwallis. Now you notice when these roll, they have a beveled side, so they tend not to roll off the table on the floor. That's a great feature. Day 1, turn 1. Now it's turn 2. Cornwallis begins. Again, the 16th Cav runs into Pulaski's troops here. Matthews will not stop. He pushes on. Abercrombie's light troops rush to his aid. We're going to try and break through there. Now here we have two. Will not get them close enough. By my reckoning, that's close enough. The rule I have that I choose to use instead of the field of fire is that if you end up within one base width, then you just move them into contact. If you're farther than that, then they're not. And generally, they won't get anywhere near them if they're not going to actually make contact. The Grenadiers make contact. It's all the farther they can get, and they're going to go that far. We're assuming there won't be a lot of retreat. Now technically you'll move your generals first and then measure to see who's in combat command so they can move to contact. Now generally you don't want to line up four back because the first guy can be involved in combat. The second guy can support the first guy. Anyone behind that, the only thing that's going to happen with them is if these guys retreat, they're going to push them back and flip them to spent as well. However, oftentimes when moving in the beginning, your troops are kind of bunched up. You get them all on. Next one is Washington's troops. Now Washington controls these cav. Again, they're going to back up. It's kind of hurting Cornwallis that he's always drawing early in the turn before the opposing commands. Let's see. Maxwell is part of Washington's command. You know what? Forgot to do this last turn. I'm not going to forget this turn. Knox's artillery up here in the hill is going to fire. It's going to fire at the British artillery there. 3, 4, 5. Normally 4 or 5 would be 2 hits, but the artillery is in the woods. It's got cover. Therefore it gets 1 hit, which does flip it to spent. Spent artillery cannot bombard. In other words, they can't shoot back. That's going to cause problems. Next one is green. Now what is green going to do? Well, this here is his baggage. He's going to move his baggage back. About like that. Now moving unit back actually involves a free turn. You turn the first time for free, moves a third, pays an extra third because he's in cover, so 2/3. He has a third left. The last third, they spin around. That's how you back up a third, technically speaking, in pub battles. Now, does green want to flank the British Grenadiers here? You know what? This time, they'll come out of cover. They will. We're going to hold these guys up. All right, Kniphausen. They'll charge across. It's time. They will charge across. Oh, you know what? They're not going to. They're going to hold right here. This is the supply train, turning for free, moving 2/3. And then, it costs nothing. They're going to deploy. They're unpacking. The detachment is guarding them. Now I want to make sure that they're within command range. That's 1/3 of a mounted move. Of any troops on this side of the river. There. Now as artillery is in command, it can recover from spent, which it will do. The small detachment on the hill is going to come down, and they're going to have to defend this whole river. Sullivan now. Okay, so Stevens Virginians can zipping across and attack. The baggage, this is the Union baggage, they're going to move to here. Boy, this is just so dicey. Maybe not. No, not yet. These are the kind of tough decisions you have to make in pub battles. Okay, Sterling, even though he's spent, is going to move up. Armstrong's militia turn around. Sterling stopped him from running down the hill and running off, but they're not up to fullness yet. And that's everybody. Turn 2 movement is complete. Turn 2 combat. First, these poor grenadiers that are flanked. Americans get to add 1 to the dice, needing 3s or better. The British have strike 1, needing 5s or better. Americans get 2 hits. British get 1. So we're going to say this guy takes a hit. The Americans, and let's see, he gets 2 hits. 1, he's elite. These are the Grenadiers. They ignore the first hit, but the second hit flips them like so. But they're Grenadiers. They're not backing off from anything. So they're going to fight another round. Same odds. Americans with 3, 3, 5 get 3 hits. The Grenadiers get nothing. That eliminates the Grenadiers. All right. Up here, Matthews. Now, they're not in cover. It's just a detachment, so they get 1 die. One, 1, 6. They get 1 hit on the detachment. Detachment only has 1 hit. It's eliminated. Matt Anthony Wayne did not turn around. He did not recover. He's going to stay. He wasn't backing up because he's facing the wrong direction. He's staying right there. Poor bastard. Now down here, we have Stevens Virginians attacking the attachment. They did just cross the river, so they count as flanked. Oops, excuse me, the attachment gets 1. A 3. 3 comes a 4, so that's 1 hit. They do have some trouble. But they get 3 hits. The detachment is gone. Oh, you're in the center. First round is flanked. As the Scots, Ferguson's Scots are crossing the river. They get 1 hit. 4 and 5 for the Americans. Americans get 2 hits. Muhlenberg's Virginians are spent. Ferguson's Scots with their 2-handers are spent. All right. British are all hubris. They're going to say they're not going to. They could retreat back and let the Hessians that are backing him up move up and finish this combat. But Ferguson feels brave. Ferguson gets 1 hit. The Americans get 2. That eliminates Ferguson. They spin. Back up a 3rd. Puts them to there. Alright, the Hessians are really hoping that his flanking allies come make it down the river. That's it. That ends turn 2. Here we see the Americans, although bloodied, are really threatening the right flank of the British. The British suffered a loss here, but they've pretty much broken through here. The green's going to have to redress his lines. But that will be in turn 3. All right, here we are, turn 3. Turn 3, the Americans win. What, you're saying? How can that be? They won because Sterling moved across. He was here, he moved to here, contacted the British, unpacked bags, and they won. There's no way the British can save that unit now. Let me explain how this all fell out. This turn 3. Green was drawn first. He pulled back, restructured his line. Cornwallis was drawn next. Cornwallis pressed the attack. This is not boding well on this flank. Then I drew Sullivan. Sullivan moved up and contacted this unit, thus ending the game. Now, had Kniphausen been drawn instead, he could have moved like this and prevented them from moving up there in one turn. He also likely would have moved this one as well, and we'd either come up here with this, but more likely he would have crossed back across the river and come up about here's where he would have got. If Nash had crossed with his North Carolinians and tried to attack, he had to spend a turn getting rid of this detachment, in which case this guy would have been able to flank him. So basically, if Kniphausen had been drawn first, he would have reacted to this and dealt with it. But Sullivan got the advantage, was drawn first, and was able to make contact, thus ending the game. The unpacked bags have been contacted by the enemy. There is nothing the British can do to attack this unit and destroy it. That ends the battle. I like this. This is great. This shows Kniphausen did not follow orders. He did not merely demonstrate. He stripped troops off of the lower fords to attack across the upper fords. Not necessary. But he did, that's what he did. This allowed the Americans to come across, get behind the British lines, and cause panic, end of game. This is pub battles. This is how, in 3.0, how the game can end in sudden death, and I think it's great. But I'd love to hear your comments in the section below. Thank you.